Gary Plauché was a good dad, but after allowing a paedophile to sexually abuse his son for over a year and riddled with the guilt, he decided to deliver his own form of justice by shooting the perpetrator dead on live TV. In this short, twisted tale, we find out about his son Jody and the evil man who took away this young boy's innocence and the everlasting damage that was done to their father and son relationship. In 1983, Jody Plauché was struggling with his parents' divorce. It was a confusing time for the 10-year-old. The arguments, the tension between his parents, Gary and June, had made his young life confusing and difficult. And he would often shut himself away in his bedroom, just trying to escape the conflict. To help him get through, Jody and his brother Mikey were enrolled into a local karate class run by 24-year-old ex-Marine Jeff Doucette. Doucette was a much-loved martial art mentor and would often take his pupils out to the movies or roller skating. And from the outside looking in, it all seemed innocent. But there was a dark side to Doucette, one that was hidden away from the adults, but one that Jody was about to find out wasn't innocent. Doucette took a shine to Jody when one day he offered to show the 10-year-old how to drive. Sitting Jody on his knees in front of the steering wheel, he felt the karate teacher's hands slowly slide onto his lap. Doucette was testing the boundaries. Textbook paedophilia. Maybe it's an accident, Jody thought, and didn't think too much about it. But it wasn't long before the boundary testing turned into full-on sexual abuse. For over a year, Jody was groomed by Doucette, becoming a father-like figure with the ignorant support of Jody's parents, who were also tricked into liking this evil man. And all the time, Jody said nothing. "I was only 10. It would upset my parents, and so it was easier just to keep quiet," Jody said later. And during that year, instead of being the father he yearned for, someone to look up to, a friend, a protector, he was subjected to a torrent of sexual abuse, sometimes being raped every single day. Unbeknown to Jody, this fake surrogate father figure had bigger plans for him, ones that could only happen if he was taken away from any form of protection from his family. And so in February 1984, Doucette kidnapped Jody. For 10 long, fearful days, Jody's family and the police searched for him until finally they received a phone call. Doucette had agreed that Jody could call his parents, but unknown to him, the call was being traced, and on the 1st of March, Doucette was arrested and Jody was returned safely into the arms of his family. As the painful details of the crime were revealed, a sense of helplessness poured over Jody's dad, Gary. Enraged by his failings to protect his son, Plauché had to find a way to ease his conscience. On the 16th of March, after a tip-off from a reporter of a local TV station, Plauché, in disguise and armed with a handgun hidden in his boot, stood quietly in a phone booth at the airport. Doucette was due to arrive after being flown back for trial, and the TV news crews were there to film him. But today, the cameras were going to capture Gary's justice. As you'll see in the following footage, Doucette, handcuffed with police by his side, casually strolled into the airport's arrivals area. Plauché, now speaking quietly on the phone to a friend, reportedly said, "Here he comes," continuing with, "You're about to hear a shot." Swiftly reaching down to grab the loaded revolver, Plauché launched himself towards Doucette as he passed by, and in one decisive pull of the trigger, the cold, hard metal bullet blasted out of the barrel and through the soft flesh and bone in Doucette's skull, instantly dropping him to the floor. Swarmed by the officers, with one being a friend, shouting, "Why, Gary, why?" With a triumphant gaze, Plauché simply said, "If somebody did it to your kid, you'd do it too." As blood poured out of the open wound onto the airport carpet, Doucette slipped into a coma, never woke up, and died 2 days later in hospital. And you might think that this retaliation from his troubled father would have ended the ordeal for Jody, but no. He didn't want Jeff Doucette dead. He just wanted him to go to jail, as that was enough for him. As a court judged Gary Plauché not a threat to the community, and because of the circumstances, he was only given a suspended sentence of 7 years over the murder of Jeff Doucette, something the majority of the town supported. But Gary's real punishment came from his son Jody. Not accepting his dad's own form of justice, it took many years before the two could rebuild the relationship they wished they'd both had. Gary Plauché died in 2014 after living with the guilt of not protecting his son when he needed him most, and with the memory of taking another man's life. And I wonder, what would I do if I was in Gary's shoes? I just don't know. Thanks for watching our twisted tale, Gary Plauché, a father driven to kill. If you enjoyed it, then please hit that like button and consider sharing. If you really like what we do, then please subscribe. It'll really help us out. Good night. Keep safe.